Welcome to the Grants Management in ConnectCarolina for Research Administrators presentation. We're going to cover the major points research administrators across campus need to know regarding their grants and projects for the upcoming go-live date of October 1st, including information about Chartfields, budgets, reporting, and cutover dates. PeopleSoft consists of many modules which, when strung together, help you execute business processes. For grants management, we are using grants, contracts, projects, billing, and accounts receivable modules. This diagram shows how information flows in and out of the grants modules. The key to information flowing in and out of these modules is the project ID chart field, which we will talk about in just a moment. Talking about the modules a little bit more in depth, the Grants Management module is where we manage the award and contains all the demographic information such as principal investigators, award dates, sponsor information, and award profiles. There is a proposal management part of Grants Management module which we are not using at UNC. We will continue to put our proposals in Ramses. The Contracts module is what we will be using for billing. This is where we can specify whether bills are sent out monthly, annually, if we're using drawdowns, and where we can also keep our billing limit. The Project Costing module is where direct costs and cost shares are stored. The Billing module is where we generate invoices to our sponsors. An Accounts Receivable tracks our outstanding receivables, and we can use this information to generate aging reports and our AR balances. The benefits of implementing this suite is that information which we tracked as attributes in the FRS 09 screens can now be recorded as fields and tables in the modules that we listed. We have the ability to automate invoicing and letter of credit drawdown processes. There are nightly updates to facilities and administration in the Projects module to ensure more accurate reimbursement requests. And we now have the ability to track both personnel and non-personnel cost share transactions. And of course, we have options for better reporting. The Project ID chart field starts with either a 4 or a 5. If it starts with a 4, it's for a clinical trial. If it starts with a 5, it's for a contract and grant. Our project IDs are going to retain a one-to-one mapping to our FRS account numbers, which means that it does contain our account number. So the first digit indicates whether it's a clinical trial or a contract or grant. The second digit will be either a 0 or a 1. If it is a 0, that means it is a converted project. If it is a 1, that means it's a new project created in PeopleSoft after October 1st. And the rest of the digits are similar to your FRS account. Our fund chart field for contracts and grants always starts with a 252. The Office of Sponsored Research, OSR, is the one that sets up these fund chart fields. And the last two digits of the chart field correspond with your FRS purpose code. The source chart field starts with a 49 for grants and shows where your money is coming from. And this also follows the sponsor type. So for example, if you have a federal sponsor, you will be using source 49000. Again, OSR assigns these source chart fields. We do have a quick reference card available for grants, fund, and source chart fields, and this is on the CC Info website. Other grant chart fields that you should be aware of are the PC Business Unit, which is always CHOSR, and the Activity ID, which is always 1. These values do remain static. We also have speed charts A speed chart is a single value that defaults the fund, source, department, PC business unit, PC activity ID, and the project ID. The only thing you would need to fill out for the chart string is the account. The speed chart resembles a project ID and is used with EPro, vouchers, and purchase requisitions. The system creates a speed chart overnight every time OSR creates a new project ID. Here is a simple sample grant transaction with the Chartfields that we discussed. So our business unit is UNCCH because that is the business unit that people across campus will be spending under. The fund is a grants fund 25210. Our source is federal. Our account number is specific for supplies. You have your department ID. PC business unit is always CHOSR. Your particular project ID, and your PC activity ID, which is always 1. If you were using a speed chart, you would just enter your business unit and the project ID in the speed chart field, and then all you would have to fill out is the account number. This is a sample chart field string for cost share transaction. For cost share, you use a non-grants related fund and source. This tells both OSR and the system that it is a cost share transaction. And unfortunately, you cannot use speed charts for cost share transactions. As far as Ramses is concerned, we are maintaining our existing functionality. We are still using Ramses for proposal management all the way to award generation. There will be some changes to Ramses. We are going to be expanding the department structure to reflect what is in ConnectCarolina. We are changing from FRS account numbers to ConnectCarolina project IDs. We will edit the screens that currently display FRS data to show ConnectCarolina HR payroll or financial data. And we will be installing a Ramses to ConnectCarolina interface. In order to make these changes, we do have to pull Ramses down for a short period of time from September 19th to the morning of September 22nd. We are aware that there is a major October 3rd deadline for putting in your proposals, so we're limiting our downtime as much as possible. The Ramses to ConnectCarolina interface will push all the award information from Ramses into ConnectCarolina and populate the tables in ConnectCarolina. So things such as the award number, the sponsor information, the principal investigator, the project information, and the department information will automatically be populated in ConnectCarolina. Some new terms that we have in ConnectCarolina. What was the account number in FRS is now going to be called the project ID number. The award number in Ramses will now be referred to as an award ID and a contract number. And this is the same number, the A14, A13, but that will serve as both the award ID and the contract number in PeopleSoft. This is an example of a screen in ConnectCarolina. This is the award profile screen. So here you can see we have information such as the award number, the reference award number, which is the sponsor award number, the title and description of the award, the contact principal investigator, the sponsor, the post-award administrator, which is the program administrator, the purpose of the award, which would be something like organized research or other sponsored research, and the award type, whether it's a grant or a contract. We also have the start and end dates for the award, and at the very bottom you can see the project IDs that are associated with this particular award. As far as budgets, all contracts and grants budgets are going to be maintained in the projects module of ConnectCarolina. Unfortunately, the Office of Sponsored Research is going to be the only ones that will be able to input budget revisions. Unfortunately, access to budget revisions is all or nothing, so it's going to have to go through the central location of Office of Sponsored Research. We are looking at having a budget revision request form in Infoport, and we will let you know once that is decided for sure. In addition to online budget revisions, the new budgets will be keyed by OSR as well. We have, for our budget definitions in grants, we have the parent, which is defined by the source, chart field, and the project ID. Most often will be set to control, which means to track with budget, and this prevents overspending the total project budget. At the child level, which is set by the fund chart field, the project ID, the source, department, and account, we have either track with budget or track without budget. Track without budget will be used for clinical trials and ABR4. Now I'm going to show you how you can look at your project budgets in PeopleSoft. This is our training portal. If you guys haven't seen this yet, you will be soon, I'm sure. I'm just going to go ahead and log into our training environment. And here we are at our home page. I'm going to go to Main Menu, and I'm going to sort alphabetically. I'm going to click Finance menu, Commitment Control, which is just another way of saying budgets, Review Budget Activities, and Budgets Overview. And keep in mind you can add this to your favorites so that you don't have to go through this menu path every time. This is our Budgets Overview inquiry page, and you can see it's asking you for an inquiry name. Whatever is going to show up here is what I have created. This is tied to my user ID, so any kind of inquiry that I create, only I can see. Your coworkers won't. It won't show up in their search results. So you can name it anything you want to name it that makes sense to you, or if you had already created one, you could stay on the Find an Existing Value tab and search for that one. I'm going to create a new one for you. And for it to make sense to me, I'm going to go ahead and name it my project ID number. I'm going to be using this a lot to come in and check on this particular project number. And I'm just going to put my initials and just make sure you don't have any spaces in your inquiry name, and click Add. Okay, this brings you to where you can input your criteria. You can enter a description of the inquiry if that helps you. That's optional. You want to put in your business unit, which is UNCCH, because you're looking for basically the budget according to what you have as far as being on campus. You're not using the CHOSR business unit here. The ledger group set should be ledger group, and for the ledger group, you're going to choose OSR child budget. Once you selected ledger group OSR, you may have noticed that down here the chart field criteria expanded, and we have a lot more options now. I'm going to scroll down, and I just want to search for one particular project ID, so I'm going to input that in the project ID field. I could enter a range if I wanted to. In this case, I'm just going to keep it simple. If I wanted to search for all project budgets for my department, I could input the department number here instead. I'm going to save this criteria. So next time I come in to this and choose this particular inquiry, my project ID is already filled in, and all I have to do is click Search. And here my budget information has been returned. Up here in the ledger totals, we have basically summary information. We have what the total budget was for this project, how much has been spent against this project already, and the amount that we have left down here. If you scroll down to Budget Overview Results, you can look more in detail per each account. So here's our Chartfield string and our different accounts, and you can see how much was budgeted for that particular account and what we have spent against that particular account, and if we have any encumbrances or pre-encumbrances, that would be listed here. You can also drill down for further detail. I'm going to go ahead and I want to look at the particular expenses we have spent for this account. So I'm going to click on the expense link for that line. And while we're waiting for that, I do want to let you know that this same information can be found in InfoPort in a much friendlier format. Unfortunately, the only difference would be that InfoPort is 1 day behind. What you see in PeopleSoft is real time, but it's not as friendly a format. So here is our activity log for that particular line. You can see the journal entries that have been created against that account. You have your Chartfield string, and if you scroll over, sorry about that, you can see the amount that particular journal entry was for and the transaction date. And you do have the option of drilling down even further to view that particular journal entry or voucher or whatever it may be. And that is very simply how you would look at a project budget overview. And you can, of course, as with any reports in PeopleSoft, download this to Excel. One more thing, for that project budget overview, we will have a CBT available on the CC Info website, basically going over what I just showed you. As far as pre-audit workflow, OSR is going to continue to perform pre-audits. Examples of this include HR actions that include grant funding, salary source changes, vouchers for specific accounts and certain thresholds, purchase requisitions, journal entries for specific accounts and certain thresholds, correcting journal entries, and foreign travel. We will also be reviewing any revenues and expenses associated with a contract or grant, which are recorded through applicable subsystems like purchasing or accounts receivable. Specifically, consulting, subcontracts, grant-related travel, and anything over $2,500. Subcontract payments will be processed via voucher in PeopleSoft. There is a change in account usage for processing payments to accommodate the appropriate F&A calculations. Invoices for the first $25,000 of a subcontract will be charged to account 569461 and will be subject to F&A costs. Invoices for the remainder of the subcontract will be charged to account 569486 and is not subject to F&A. For financial guarantees, we're going to continue to request this via the current financial guarantee form that we use in Ramses. And if it is approved, the project ID will be created with a $0 budget. The budget will be set to track without budget. And awards, contracts, and budgets will be established by OSR once the agreement is executed to allow for invoicing. For invoices and payments, we will be billing in automatic batch processes. This requires that all transactions be entered in a timely fashion to the sponsored project, as invoices are created only from posted expenses. Payments will be directed to the Bank of America lockbox. We have been using this lockbox since 2011. Any sponsors who refuse to use the lockbox will have to send their payments to OSR for deposit. For clinical trials, as we discussed earlier, the project IDs are going to start with a 4. So converted projects for clinical trials will be start with a 40, and after go live, we'll start with a 41. Budget will be created based on cash received only, so it will initially be set as track without budget. F&A will be recorded based on expenditures only, and departments will invoice if applicable. For eCert, we will continue to use eCert for effort reporting. SPA effort reporting cycle covering July 2014 to September 2014 will reflect FRS data. An EPA effort reporting cycle covering July 2014 to September 2014 will reflect FRS data. Effort reporting cycles beginning in October 2014 will reflect ConnectCarolina data. An upgraded version of eCert will be rolled out after go live to accommodate the new Chartfield structure, and additional effort reporting training will also be provided at that time. For conversion, OSR is actively mapping the Chartfields, award data, billing history, open AR items, budgets, and additional transactions. For reporting, the university is going to be using Infoport as its chief reporting tool. Infoport reports on data exported from PeopleSoft on a nightly basis into a new data warehouse, so the data is always one day behind. Infoport is a parameter-driven system that allows users to select various parameters to achieve the output they are looking for. The data and screens can be output to Excel, and many data and screens can be output to PDF. A number of existing financial reports are being converted, like the FMB 090 and 095. "15 months of payroll history data to support retroactive actions back to July 2013 will be converted into PeopleSoft and loaded into the data warehouse. Grant data can be accessed via Infoport or Legacy Warehouse for historical data prior to October 1st, 2014, and through Infoport for transactions that occur after October 1st, 2014. Training for Infoport and ConnectCarolina will be through computer-based training modules and large venue demonstrations. For Infoport, the remaining live demo dates are September 16th, 17th, 25th, and 26th, and October 9th. And you can find more information on both the CBTs and the live demos at the CC Info website. For cutover dates, as we discussed earlier, Ramses will be down between September 19th and September 22nd. However, you still will be able to initiate and route proposals except during those times. For grants ending September 30th, 2014, plan to assure all procurement requests on grants and contracts are processed, approved, and completed by September 15th. Please plan ahead for capital equipment purchases, cash advance requests, subcontract expenditures, travel or startup costs, and non-service tuition or fee awards to students. You will be able to respond to just-in-time requests and use eCert to review and approve effort reports that do not require payroll adjustments, and you still will be able to negotiate agreements and subawards. As far as hiring and employment, all hiring and status changes effective in September 2014 must be entered and approved in your legacy systems prior to September 15. Please ensure that any salary source changes, especially those with dates prior to July 1st, 2014 are processed in legacy systems before September 15th. This is a graphic representation of some of the cutover dates. Some important ones you might want to look at are payroll. The last biweekly payroll will post on September 16th for the period ending September 7th and will be paid on September 19th. The last monthly payroll will post on September 19th for the period ending September 30th and will be paid on September 30th. For web vendor requests, the last day to approve new requests in the legacy system is September 15th. And for web travel, the last day to get approval for web travel documents is September 15th. These are a few more dates. And you can also find these graphics on the CC Info website. For EPro, the last purchase requisitions, small orders, and travel reimbursement requests must be submitted and approved by September 15th. The old version of EPro shuts down at 5 p.m. on the 26th, and the new EPro will not open until October 1st. If your lab makes daily or frequent purchases of supplies, please secure an order during the purchasing outage. Vendors are aware of this downtime, and you can use a P card for emergencies.